Hello everyone, today I am here to share with you all of the books I am anticipating for 2022. I cannot believe that 2022 is like less than a month away. 2021 went by really fast, but nevertheless, I have a long list of books that I am anticipating. I've done this yearly for I don't know, the past like 5 or so, maybe even more years, where I do at the beginning of the year, like at the end of the year, kind of a full list of what I'm really looking forward to next year, obviously. And then even so, I break it down into seasons next year. So next year, you'll see like a 2022 spring, a 2022 summer, a 2022 fall. Even doing research, there has not been books that have been like released or like released information about, things like that. So I can't do a full comprehensible list. And plus, I always forget some books. Like I always, like as much as research as I do, there's always a lot that just like goes right past me and I don't even see. So I always add on to this list. So this is like just kind of a comprehensive, like kind of just a list that I'm looking forward to in general. I break it down by month, and yeah, let's stop blabbing and let's get right into it. So starting in January, we have a lot of books coming out in January. The first one I have is When You Get the Chance by Emma Lord. This one comes out January 4th. It is a young adult contemporary book, and this one, sorry, I have all my notes on my phone. It's about Millie who wants to be a Broadway star and nothing will stop her in her tracks, like nothing at all. And basically it's a gender swap Mamma Mia where Millie goes off to find her mom and narrows it down to 3 different women because she feels like they might really help her with her dream to Broadway. And so, you know, Mamma Mia is all about her finding her dad, and she narrows it down to 3 guys. This is like a obviously gender swap Mamma Mia, so it sounds really fun. I like Mamma Mia. It's not like a huge thing. I'm not like a big musical person, but it just sounds adorable, and I've read both of Emma Lord's books in the past and really enjoy them. I'm a big fan of YA contemporaries. We all know this. We have our first romance of the year, Love at First Spite by Anna E. Collins, coming out also on January 4th. This one is about an interior designer who teams up with an architect at her firm to get revenge on her ex the only way that she knows how, and that is by building a spite house next to him, like next door, which is just, it sounds like it's a horrible idea. Like spite is never a good idea, but I'm sure what's gonna happen is that she's gonna fall in love with the architect, and maybe she learns that spite is probably not the best idea, but goodness me, it sounds really interesting. Like I've never heard of anybody like, I'm gonna build a house next to you because of spite, you know? We'll see how it plays out. And our first thriller of the year, The Maid by Neeta Prose, also coming out on January 4th. Now, this one has been, I do a lot of my research on NetGalley. That's just, I love NetGalley. We all know this. I need to make a video all about them soon. But this one is definitely like, if you go to thrillers, it's the most requested. And I wasn't interested at first, and then I read the description, and then one key tagline drew me in, and you'll figure out why. So this one is about Molly, who is a hotel maid, and she enters the suit of the infamous and wealthy Charles Black, only to find it in a state of disarray, and Mr. Black is dead. And police suspect Molly. Like she's like, oh, I'm just the hotel maid, like what the heck, I found him. Well, what really drew me in is it says it's a Clue-like locked room mystery. And if you know me, one of my favorite movies of all time is the 80s. Did it even come out in the 80s or even earlier? Clue. Like it is an amazing movie. Tim Curry, Christopher Lloyd. It's just, I love anything that's like, it's like Clue. I'm like immediately drawn to because I love Clue so dearly.
I can't take any more scares.
So I have really high expectations for this one. Our last book coming out on January 4th is Serendipity by Marissa Meyer. This is actually a YA anthology, which means there's a whole bunch of authors in it. And this is Love is in the Air, and this collection of stories inspired by romantic tropes. Like you get hate to love, friends to lovers, just any romantic trope you can think of. They're full of short stories by it, and I love tropes. As we know on this channel, I've done a second chance romance, friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, you know, best friend's brother. Like I love romantic tropes. So the authors in this, obviously Marissa Meyer has edited it. We have Julie Murphy, Sanon Menon, Anna Marie McLemore, and so many more. So I haven't read a YA anthology in a while, but this one just really caught my eye because of the whole romantic trope aspect. Moving on to January 11th, we have Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is their second romance book, adult romance, I should say. I read her first one this year, and It's one of my favorites of the year, so I have high hopes for this one. This one is about Ari, who is a TV meteorologist, which I've never read a book about like a TV weather person before, so I'm excited about that. Her boss is too distracted by her relationship with her ex-husband, the station's news director, to give Ari the mentorship that she wants. She wants her boss to be her mentor, but she's too distracted by her ex-husband. And so Ari and Russell, this other guy she works with, decide to team up to solve their boss's relationship issues. So it's kind of like a Parent Trap in a way, where you have the kids, they're not even kids, it's like she's trying to help her boss and he's trying to help his boss by being together. It's kind of Parent Trap in a way because they're trying to set them up together. It sounds really interesting and very, you know, I love her book, so I'm really excited to read it. Then on January 25th, we have Running Wild by K.A. Tucker. This is the part of her The Simple Wild series. If you don't know, she's written 2 full books in that series and a novella. It's set in Alaska and it follows Kala and Jonah. This one actually follows a completely different character, Marie. I think her name is Marie, yes. She's the veterinarian who was always crushing on Jonah, but now she's finding her happily ever after. And I'm excited about it. I don't really love Marie because, you know, she was kind of the person that was going to take away Jonah from Kala, and we were all like, no thank you. But I'm interested to see if she can find her happily ever after, and I think she can, so we'll have to see how it plays out. And the last book I have in January is The Roughest Draft by Emily Whiberly and Osman Sigma Broca. They are also YA contemporary authors, but this is their first adult romance book. So this one is about Katrina and Nathan, who were the biggest literary stars like on the horizon. They wrote books together, they were doing amazing, but the heels of their greatest success, they ended their partnership on bad terms for reasons that neither of them would tell the public. But they have one final book on contracts. They have to be together, like to write together and, you know, to obviously talk about what happened to them and things like that. I've already read reviews on this and it's not the best review, so I'm excited about it because it sounds really interesting. Authors that had such a good stride together, then something happened to them. Maybe they were like, we're meant to be, but then something happened and now they have to write a book together. So we'll have to see. It sounds really good, and again, as I'll say 50,000 times in this video, we'll have to see. Moving into February. First up, we have Finlay Donave Knocks 'Em Dead by El Cosmeto, which comes out February 1st. This is a sequel to Finlay Donave is Killing It. It's a thriller that's kind of satire, where Finlay is an author, but she gets confused as a hit person and she has to kill people. So it's a sequel to that. That's what I'll tell you about it. It's a fun, if you are not into kind of the thrillers that are scary and things like that, this is a great series to jump into. It's not scary, it's kind of satire, very funny. It's about a woman that becomes a hitman and she's doesn't really want to be that, but she needs the money, so there you go. It's a funny series. Then on February 15th, we have House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in her Crescent City series, and I read the first one a couple years ago, really enjoyed it. It's her first foray into the adult genre, which to me, honestly, all of her books kind of straddle that line anyway. I really don't see her books as young adult. I see them as new adult, probably adult books, honestly, but it's her, you know, fantasy series, so there you go. But it's a really good one and I enjoy it, so I'm excited to read the second one, and it's probably going to be a behemoth and it's going to take me forever to read. February 15th, we have All the Right Reasons by Bethany Mangle, and what drew me to this book was the tagline, The Bachelor Meets Gilmore Girls, and if I see Gilmore Girls, I just stop and automatically like add it to my TBR because Gilmore Girls is my favorite show of all time. We all know this. It says The Bachelor meets Gilmore Girls, and this laugh-out-loud young adult romance about a girl who joins her mother on a reality dating show for single parents only to fall for a contestant's son. So I've been reading a lot of not a lot, I've read a few like kind of reality dating based shows, books. Did any of that make sense? Probably not. Moving on. February 15th, we have One Night on the Island by Josie Silver. And this one is when a solitary one-bedroom cabin is accidentally double booked, the two lodgers that find, although company was the last thing either of them wanted and maybe just the thing they both needed. So it's about this island, Silver Island, and there's this hotel or like an inn, and these two people booked a room and they were just hoping to get away for some solitude, and obviously they have to bunk together, and they realize that maybe solitude solitude's not the best thing. They need to like talk to each other and maybe feelings will happen. I've read one other Josie Silver book before, One Day December, loved it. Did not read The Two Lives of Lydia Bird because it was too sad for me, so I'm hoping to enjoy this one. Lastly, on February 22nd, we have The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. One of my favorite thrillers of all time is by Lucy Foley, The Guest List, so needless to say, I'm very excited for this one. This is about Jess who needs a fresh start. She's broke and alone, and she asked her brother if she can crash at his Paris apartment. He reluctantly agrees. Only when she gets there, it's like a really nice apartment, like something that her brother could not afford, and her brother is like nowhere to be found. And as days goes on, he's still missing. She starts talking to his neighbors, who she learns are really an odd bunch and aren't very friendly. So it's about her trying to piece together where her brother is missing. Has his neighbors something to do with it? Why is he in this apartment that's really nice where he can't afford it? So yeah, this will be my third Lucy Foley book, so I'm excited to check it out. Moving into March, we have first up on March 2nd, All My Rage by Saba, one of my favorite authors of all time. This will be her first book outside of a series that I've ever read, so I'm really excited. So this one is a heart-wrenching contemporary YA novel about family and forgiveness, love and loss, and a sweeping story that crosses generations and continents. So I'm super excited to read a standalone book by her because all I've really known is her Ember in the Ashes series, which is one of my favorite series of all time. Then on March 1st, I did that kind of awkwardly, but this is one I've actually already read. I've tried to stay good with not reading 2022 books, but I've read a few, and that is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is the second book in her series, The Bellinger Sisters. This one follows Piper and Fox. It's all about this kind of really Seattle, it's kind of based in Washington, near Seattle, I guess you could say, like a fishing town, and about these kind of like, I know the first book was inspired by Schitt's Creek, Alexis, the character. I don't know exactly what the second book is inspired by, but I enjoyed it. I didn't love it nearly as much as the first one, but if you want a steamy romance, I'd check it out. Also on March 1st is Gallant by Victoria Schwab. This is a dark and original tale about the place where the world meets its shadow and the young woman beckoned by both sides. The Secret Garden meets Crimson Peak in this standalone novel. I don't know if this is a YA book or an adult book. I'm not sure, but we all know I love Victoria Schwab. She's a very hyped author and I love her writing, so I'm definitely going to check it out. On March 1st, another thriller, The Night Shift by Alex Finlay. So this takes place in two timelines. We have New Year's Eve, 1999. Y2K is about to happen. Remember that? I remember that because I was alive for that. Everybody was freaking out about Y2K because they thought the world was going to end, technology, stuff like that. It was bananas. How old was I? I was 10, I believe. That's crazy. So yeah, that's how old I am. I was alive for Y2K. Anyway, so Y2K is expected to end in chaos, but at a Blockbuster video, I'm so sad that, you know, kids these days will never have the experience of like going to a Blockbuster. Like everything now is instant, which is great for me as a mom. I don't have to like go to a Blockbuster, but man, I remember so many like weekend nights, my brother and I and my mom would go to Blockbuster and we would like look for the new releases, and man, they would have like 2 tapes behind it sometimes. And if it was out, it was out. It just was fun finding movies in Blockbuster and like Hollywood Video. It just, so great. Anyway, tangent over. Anyway, it takes place at a Blockbuster in 1999. 4 teenage girls are working the night shift when they are attacked. Only one survives. Police quickly identify a suspect who flees and is never to be seen again. And then we pick up now years later, 15 years later, in the same town, 4 teenage employees working late at an ice cream store are attacked, and again, only one makes it out alive. 3 lives intersect: the survivor of the Blockbuster massacre who's forced to relive her tragedy, the brother of the original suspect who's convinced the police they have it wrong, and the FBI agent who's determined to solve both cases. So it just sounds so freaking interesting. I've read one other book by this author before and enjoyed it, so I'm very excited for this one. And plus, like, nostalgia. Not like the murder stuff, but like 1999 Blockbuster. That part of the nostalgia. March 8th, we have another book I've already read, The Sweet Spot by Trish Dollar. This is the sequel, kind of companion novel to Float Plan, where we follow the sister. Her name is Hannah, I believe. No, Rachel, my bad. She's a single mom and she gets a job working like kind of at an island off of Lake Erie, where she like has to help this guy open up a brewery slash hotel, and it's cute and romantic. I did enjoy it, but not nearly as much as Float Plan, so I would recommend it probably, especially if you've read the Float Plan. And then we have the last book I've read, I promise, The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, coming out March 15th. I love Simone St. James. This is my third book by her, and I really enjoyed this one. I would highly recommend you check it out when it comes out. So this one is all about this true crime blogger who gets more than she bargains for. She gets an opportunity to interview this woman who's been accused of murder but walked away, and it's just a really interesting book. So I would highly recommend you check it out. It's just, I love it. It takes place in 2 timelines, also has a paranormal vibe. Loved it. Book in March is Always Jane by Jen Bennett, coming out March 29th. And this is a chauffeur's daughter finds herself in the middle of a love triangle with sons of her boss's wealthy next door neighbor. I've read all of Jen and Bennett's book before and love them, so excited for this one. And in April, we have The Wedding Crasher by Mia Soso, coming out on April 5th. This is the sequel companion novel to, oh goodness, I forgot the wedding. I forget what the first book was called, but I enjoyed it. So this is about Solange, who's roped into helping her sister plan a wedding, and then she stumbles across a situation that makes her think that the groom is definitely not supposed to marry the bride, and so she kind of helps him escape. But he's like, hey, like, I need this job, and they won't give it to me unless I'm married. What circumstances that ever happened? But needless to say, she's like, well, crap, I messed up your marriage, so like, I'll pretend to be your wife, and it kind of goes from there. I forget what the first book is called, but I really enjoyed it and would definitely recommend checking this out. I need to read this one, obviously, before I can recommend it. Then April 5th, we have a YA contemporary, Love from Scratch by Caitlin Hill. This summer, Reese is trading sweet tea and southern hospitality for cold brew and crisp coastal air. So basically, she's landed her dream marketing internship at Friends of Flavor, a widely popular cooking channel in Seattle. Bethany, who is her main competition for the fall job. I'll be honest, what drew me to this was the cover and baking and stuff like that. So like, that's all I needed to like add this to my wish list. Then we have Out of His League by Carolina Richardson, April 5th. This one is about Gretchen, who didn't expect to meet her favorite baseball player, Josh, on her way to Vegas. And basically, he's been sent down from the minor leagues, so he's been sent down from the major leagues, so he is obviously not having a good time. And somehow they hook up, and their affair is not meant to last, with his career up in the air and her job as her focus. Can they find a way to round the bases towards love? You probably don't know this about me. I'm a big baseball fan. My favorite team is the Braves, which we won the World Series this year. Like, what? I can't, oh my gosh, my husband and I are still reeling from it. We are big Braves fans. Like, we follow the news, all that stuff. So big, any sort of book with baseball in it, I'm like, just, I'll take it. I love baseball. I will read about baseball. I watch baseball. I just love it. Then we have Go Hex Yourself by Just Claire. This is when Reggie Johnson answers a job in the paper. She's astonished to find that she's not applying to work at her favorite card game, Spellcraft. She's applying to be an actual familiar for an actual witch, as in real magic. So I feel like lately, especially these past couple years, like witch books have been popping up, but more particularly like witch and contemporary books, and I'm here for that. On April 19th, also, we have With or Without You, With and Without You by Emily Whiberly and Osman Broca. This is their YA contemporary book, and it's a novel based on their own romantic history, which will be fun. And so basically, it's about this couple that were voted most likely to marry, and they've been dating 3 solid years, and then they decide to kind of break up and see what happens. It's all about long distance and things like that. I've read all of their books before and thoroughly enjoy them. They're just super cute YA contemporary books. So on April 19th, we have Part of Europa by Abby Hamezon. This one, I love her books. This is about Alexis, who has her world turned upside down, and the cause is Daniel Grant, a ridiculously hot carpenter who's 10 years younger than her and as casual as they come, the complete opposite of her city girl style, and yet their chemistry is undeniable. So obviously it's like an age gap romance, and it sounds adorable. I love her books. And the last book in April is The No Show by Beth O'Leary, April 26th. This is about 3 women, 3 dates, 1 missing man, about dating, waiting, and the ways love can find it. So it's about these 3 women that are going on a date with the same guy, and he doesn't show up to either of them, and they finally meet each other, and things happen from there. Moving into May, I'm going to keep this pretty quick because my baby's up. You might hear her crying. I apologize. We have Places We've Never Been by Casey West. This is a cross-country family road trip that puts one girl and her childhood best friend on an unexpected road to romance. I've read all of her books before, so they're just honestly cheesy romance books, but I enjoy them. Then we have See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is her YA contemporary book. It's about a teen girl who's forced to live her disastrous first day of college over and over again, like a Groundhog Day situation, only to discover that her arch nemesis is stuck in the time loop with her. So very, very intriguing, and I'm here for that. Book of Night by Holly Black, coming out March 3rd. This is her first adult foray into the adult world of fiction. Why can't I talk? A modern dark fantasy of shadowy thieves and secret societies in the vein of Night House and the Night Circus. Both the books I don't really love, but we'll have to see how this one goes. Then we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry, her adult book. This is about Nora, whose life is books. She's read them all, and she's not that type of heroine. She's not like the plucky one. She's not the laid back girl. In fact, and so she's actually a literary agent. So basically, she has her little sister who she loves, which is why she agrees to go to North Carolina for the month of August, where her sister begs her for this trip away. And she meets this guy named Charlie, a bookish brooding editor back from the city. It would be a meet cute if not for the fact they've met many times and it's never been cute. So obviously it's a enemies to lovers book, and I read her other two adult romance books and loved them both. We have By the Book by Jasmine Guillory. This is the second book in the Meant to Be series. So the first one was If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, which was a reimagining of kind of Cinderella modern take. This one is a reimagining of Beauty and the Beast. So I'm excited they're using different authors and also different like fairy tales. So excited for this one as well. And then lastly in May, we have Starry-Eyed Love by Helena Hunting on May 10th. This is a sequel to Sparks Fly, where we follow another sister and her job that they kind of work at this like kind of hotel type of thing and finds love, things like that. Just kind of, I don't want to say your typical romance book, but you get what I'm saying. Moving into June, probably one of the most hyped thrillers I'd say of the year. I think the cover has really drawn everybody in. The Woman in the Library by Solara Gentel, hopefully I pronounced that right, on June 7th. So this is a reading room in the Boston Public Library. It's quiet until the peace is shattered by a woman's terrified scream. Security guards take charge immediately, instructing everyone to stay put until the threat is identified and contained. And so basically they're waiting for the all clear. These four strangers in this one room at the library who start to talk and friendships are struck. Each has his or her own reasons for being in the reading room that morning. It just happens that one of them is a murderer. So it's kind of like another Clue, Agatha Christie thing. And I'm very, very excited for this one. I really, really hope this one is just going to be amazing. We have her first ever adult romance book, and that is Birds of California by Katie Cotugno, coming out June 14th. This is about a character, Fiona, who is a child actor who's dropped out of the spotlight after a spectacularly public crash and burn. The tabloids call her crazy and self-destructive, and she said she lost her mind. So now she's in her late 20s, and she believes her past is firmly behind her, and she's regained a good amount of privacy, and she won't let anything or anyone mess it up. So we kind of go from there. I read all of Katie Cotugno books, and they're kind of hit or miss for me. There are some of hers that I love and some of them that I'm not the biggest fan of. And then we have another one that the cover just zeroed me right in, and that is Fake It Till You Bake It. Also, it's got a punny cover title that also draws me in, like any sort of illustrated cover, and then we have a punny title, like there's ones that came out this year called Donut Fall in Love, you're saying fake it till you bake it. I'm here for that. This one is by Jamie Wesley, coming out June 21st. It's a reality star and a cupcake baking football player pretend to be a couple in order to save his bakery in this sweet and sexy romance. So I mean, just all of the things tick off this for me, like romance, baking, punny cover, cute title. I said that backwards. You get what I'm saying. It sounds adorable. We finally have a new Robin Benway book. Robin Benway has written some of my favorite books like Emmy and Oliver, also Far from the Tree. I love her book. So this is her newest one. It's been a while, a year to the day. I feel like it's been longer than that for her, but it comes out June 21st. So this one is about, it's been a year of missing Neeta, a year of milestones, holidays, and things like that. And Leo feels like she should remember what happened that night, but all she knows is that she left a party and got into a car with Neeta and Neena's boyfriend East. And East, who once promised Neeta he'd watch out for her younger sister. East, who's been trying to keep that promise ever since Neeta died. But East won't give Leo the one thing she wants, the one thing she needs. Though he won't tell her anything about the accident. He won't talk about that night at all. So obviously this is about Leo, who has lost her sister, and East, who has lost his girlfriend, and the accident. And so it just sounds, she writes really hard-hitting contemporary books, and I just love them so insanely much. So I'm so excited to have a new Robin Benway book. Then we have, of course, another new Riley Sager book, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, coming out on June 28th. I've read all of his books. I've done a whole author video on him. He's one of my favorite thriller authors. He's one of my favorite thriller authors, I think, honestly, of all time. I just love his books. This is about Casey, who is a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press. This is another book about like kind of a bad press actress book. So she's retreated to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. So basically she passes time by watching with binoculars the people across the lake, the glamorous couple who live. And so basically one day, Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. The more they get to know each other, the longer Casey watches, it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage is not what it seems. Catherine suddenly vanishes. Casey becomes consumed with finding out what happened to her. This is almost like kind of The Woman in the Window-esque, which I did not like that book at all, but I've read all the Riley Sager's books and really enjoyed them, so we'll have to see this one. I have high hopes. One of my favorite books of all time, thriller books that is Home Before Dark by him, so I have high hopes. Then lastly in June, we have Ride With Me by Lucy Keating. This one comes out June 28th. This is about neighborhood rideshare driver Charlie embarks on a collision course with love when she crashes into the school's cute but annoying party boy and wrecks his car and her no-strings attitude towards life. This one, obviously, the cover drew me in. I was a big fan of the cover. We all know illustrated covers just zing me right on in, and this one just sounded really cute, honestly. Then in July, I have two books, as you can tell, as the years go on. In fact, my list ends at August, that it kind of dwindles and you'll have to wait until the year goes on to get more releases. But we have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix coming out on July 12th. This is, it says he takes on the haunted house in a hilarious and terrifying new novel that explores the way your past and your family can haunt you like nothing else. I've read two of his books before and really enjoy them. I would say this is not a thriller, it's probably a horror book, which, surprise, surprise, I've read some and enjoyed. It has to be particular ones for not to scare the crap out of me, but I really enjoy his writing, and he's humorous, that's probably the right word, but also scary, so this one hopefully will be both. Then we have The Bodyguard by Catherine Setter coming out July 19th, and this is Hannah Brooks, who looks more like a kindergarten teacher more than a bodyguard, but she's a bodyguard. Like, she can kill you with a wine opener or a ballpoint pen. Like, she's lethal, and she gets hired to protect superstar actor Jack from his middle-aged corgi breeding stalker. So we'll have to see how that goes. I read a lot of her books. She's an adult romance author, and I really enjoy them. So high hopes for this one. And there you have it. Those are all the books I am really excited about for 2022. Hopefully, like I said, I can add more on as the years go on. You'll see I'll have a spring and a summer and a fall one. So stay tuned. There will be more. Trust me. I know I've missed some. I'm sure I'll get comments saying, how'd you miss this? And you're right. I'm horrible. I missed some. But I would love to know what books you're excited for in 2022. Please let me know down in the comments, because there's a lot of amazing ones coming out, and I, for one, cannot wait to read them all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.